video, I shall explain in detail how to make soft Siri idlis without using cooked Siri rice or Siri poha. At the outset, I shall wash the barnyard millet and soak it in structured water for a minimum of 6 hours. Any of the 5 Siridhanyas can be used for idlis. The soaked millet then has to be dried on a clean cotton cloth till it gets fully dried. My next job is to grind the grain into fine rava with the help of the traditional stone flour mill. The mill has to be placed on a thickly folded clean cotton cloth. I am now grinding the millet by pouring it in small quantities like this. Dr. Khadar sir advises us to adopt traditional techniques to the extent possible in farming and cooking. By doing so, the health of the mankind can be restored. Just not that, even the environment and the rural economy get the much needed protection and revival respectively. Since this rava is being made using soaked and dried millet, it is enough if I soak it for just 2 to 3 hours prior to cooking, unlike the ready-made rava bought from the market which needs 4 to 5 hours of soaking. I am now done with the grinding. I shall first sift the fine flour using the fine flour screen. Be gentle while sifting, or else even the coarse particles will be forced through the screen. This flour can be used for making instant dosas and also porridge. Then, by using the fine rava screen, fine rava and coarse rava should be separated. Fine rava with uniform texture helps us make smooth and even textured idlis. Just have a look. This rava is ideal for making idlis. I separated out fine flour using flour screen and using rava mesh, the fine rava. This leftover coarse rava can be used for making upma, rava khichdi, porridge and so on. Just observe the difference between the coarse and the fine ravas. I shall now move on to the preparation of idli batter. The 2 main ingredients needed are 1 cup of urad dal and 3 cups of barnyard rava. I am now measuring 3 cups of rava. 1, 2, 3. In another vessel, I have taken 1 cup of urad dal and a teaspoonful of fenugreek seeds. I am now pouring some water and keeping it aside for a while. In order to tenderize the Siri rava, I will be processing it in almost the same way as the rice rava is processed for making an interesting traditional Kerala dish called the puttu. Urad dal needs just rinsing and soaking, but rava needs to undergo a special treatment. We need to sprinkle water gradually over the rava little by little. Mix it well until the rava is wet enough to form a lump like this. I'll now keep it covered and set it aside. Urad dal is rinsed and I am pouring enough water and leaving it aside to soak for 3 hours. We need to check the rava after every 1 hour and sprinkle water if needed. It is 1 hour since I wet the rava. Have you observed? The rava has absorbed all the water and has become dry. I shall wet the rava once again and mix it well. This process enables the fiber present in rava to become tender. We have observed that the rava processed this way absorbs more water than the one soaked in water. I shall now keep it covered. It is now 3 hours since I soaked rava and dal. By just feeling the varied texture of the soaked rava, I am able to make out that the rava is soaked well and absorbed all the water that it could. I shall now pour 4 to 5 tumblers of water in an idli steamer. The rava container should get in contact only with the steam and not the boiling water in the steamer vessel. Else, the bottom portion of rava gets cooked while the upper portion gets steamed. This is the reason why I am placing a colander plate at the bottom. I shall now cover the vessel and allow the water to get heated. To prevent rava from clumping, I am mixing a teaspoonful of ghee in rava with the help of a fork. Water is heated up. I shall now steam rava for 7 to 8 minutes on high flame. The duration for steaming, however, depends upon the heat output of our stove. I shall now grind urad dal. When the protein-rich grains such as pulses and oil seeds are soaked, phytic acid in them leaches into the soaked water. Phytic acid is believed to impair our body's ability to absorb certain micronutrients. So I discarded that water and using fresh structured water for grinding. Urad dal ground in wet grinder or a traditional stone grinder is more frothy and aerated well. It is 7 minutes since I kept rava for steaming. I shall just mix it well and see if it is done. Yes, it is almost done. Are you able to see? I shall now turn off the stove and allow rava to rest for 2 minutes. Either adding warm rava to urad dal batter or steaming rava for too long will make the batter turn sour quickly. So, I am now spreading it on a plate for it to cool. Ensure that there are no clumps in the rava. Among the most healthy breakfast recipes prepared with Siridhanya, idli occupies the first place. The amalgamation of urad dal and Siridhanya batters, when fermented, acquires amazing and innumerable health benefits. I shall now measure the steamed rava. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is almost 5 cups of steamed rava from 3 cups of raw rava. My next job is to mix rava in urad dal batter. Generally, I add the rava along with salt and required water to the wet grinder just when the urad dal batter is almost done. By doing so, the idli batter gets uniformly blended without much effort. As I wanted to demonstrate the process clearly, I chose to mix them manually in a wide vessel. I added a little water to extract even the little rava that got stuck at the base of the rava vessel. I am now adding a little salt to taste. I shall keep on adding water little by little while mixing the batter until the right consistency is attained. We need to mix all the ingredients thoroughly. This is the ideal consistency for idli batter. I shall now cover the vessel and leave it for fermentation. After 6 hours of fermentation, look how well the batter has risen. The batter should be frothy and porous like this. Only then will the idlis be light, soft and fluffy. Do not ferment all the batter in one go. Ferment just enough quantity of batter and refrigerate the rest. The time taken for fermentation depends on the climate of the region in which we live and also the ongoing season. I shall now pour about 2 to 3 tumblers of water in the idli steamer, turn on the stove and bring the water to a boil. Idlis should be kept for steaming only after the water in the steamer starts to boil. Water has started to boil. At this point, the idli plate should be kept ready. I have smeared ghee in the idli molds. I am now going to pour the batter into the molds. Do not whisk the batter rigorously. The froth or the effervescence created by the microbes during the fermentation process will be lost and we'll end up making hard idlis. The batter should be gently collected with a ladle or a spoon and poured into the mold. I shall now place the idli plate for steaming. Idlis normally do not take more than 5 minutes to get cooked in a preheated steamer. If left for too long, the top layer gets hard and idlis turn miserable. We need to wet our fingers to check if the idlis are done. Look, the batter isn't sticking to my fingers, which means our idlis are cooked. I'll now turn off the stove and allow the idlis to rest for a couple of minutes. I shall now scoop out the idlis into this plate. Dip a shallow spoon in a cup of water and use it for scooping out the idlis this way. See how easily the idlis are getting released from the molds? The idlis are very light. Have a look how porous these idlis are. Even infants and the aged will be able to have them without any difficulty. This is how I arranged my breakfast plate. This is the chutney powder into which I shall add a spoonful of ghee. I am also drizzling a little ghee on my idlis. I have made coconut chutney, and since we should not take too much of protein, I made a thin sambar with radish, onion and radish greens.
Thank you for watching the video.